Hello, everyone. Every night I post a picture of one of the tiles or a piece of artwork I made, inspired with Taylor Swift, as part of a Christmas tree with Jeanett and I on top. I guess I should revisit this really quick because I'm revisiting my trip to Odda, Norway, which ultimately led for me buying the building in Odda. Well, that post I make every night, those pieces of artwork that I'm posting, those are all tiles that I made in Odda and tiles that I made on my trips to Norway. So I made a tile almost every night from May 10th until, and even before that, I started to make tiles before that. From May 10th all the way until September 4th, almost every night, I would make at least one tile a night that would become part of this collection. That's the idea to start the gallery in Odda. Now you have to understand that my thoughts were to have a gallery that would feature Jeanett fishing and all the other things I create as well, but to incorporate Jeanett in part. We want strong relationships, don't we? Isn't that the intent to have a strong relationship with somebody? And if you're going to be living with someone and possibly having children with someone, what stronger way to have a bond with someone than to create art of them and create that life together? I think that's very difficult for a lot of people to understand because they get married and start relationships with different reasons, and many times the strength of their relationship has to do with the friendships they have with other people and the groups that they're associated with, and a lot of times that all comes down to how they make a living and friendships they have from different times in their life when they had friends. Well, with me, in growing up at a pottery and being an artist myself, an independent artist, I don't have this group, this network of people and friends that establishes that relationship. So therefore, maybe I find my strength in a relationship. My thoughts of having a strength in a relationship was to create art of Jeanett. Now I know when I began this endeavor and I was creating these tiles of Jeanett, it was one way for me to stay connected with Jeanett, to my way of showing interest in her over social media, because what stronger way to show your interest in someone than to create art of them, not selling it, just creating it, and to see where it goes once I felt like something was started between us. Once I started posting that and showing that, it's impossible for me to separate my personal life on my Facebook page with my business, basically. So even if I was just making those tiles just to have in a personal collection, even if I were to say it was a personal collection, it wouldn't stop people from thinking that I was going to want to try to sell them or something and make money off Jeanett. This isn't a big deal, but it's just kind of the reality I'm faced with here. Whether or not those tiles would eventually become for sale in a gallery, if Jeanett and I were to be together for some, the idea was that, that could have always been a possibility. They would have become neat, beautiful pieces of artwork. And it's an idea that I had to start doing it. It was how we stayed connected. And, the idea is that I was obsessed because I was doing that. Well, I think people are obsessed to go hiking. I think people are obsessed to do a lot of things. They're obsessed to go out and eat at restaurants. They're obsessed about a lot of things. So eventually once I felt like I had established this definite friendship with Jeanett, especially when I came back in May 2018 and bought the building, I stopped making the tiles of Jeanett. But because now there was this notion that I had to show the community that I was interested in that community in Odda, and I started creating tiles of Odda. And there was no one telling me exactly what I should do. It was just kind of a feeling I was running on. And before that, when I went to Odda in March 2018, the story I'm revisiting right now, I brought with me a stack of blank tiles to carve, and every night I carved a new tile when I was there. And I did the same thing in September 2017 as well. So I had to have a tile finished every night. So what I'm saying is I'm going to post a picture of the stack of tiles I brought to Odda to Norway in March 2018, and I'll post a picture of that because as much as my trip was a personal trip, it was also business related too. And as an artist, it's hard to separate the two, really. I mean, I can tell myself I'm going on a hike up in the mountains of Norway and it's not business related, but it really is, because anything I see that would look interesting or an idea that could happen during that trip, I could turn into art. So again, it's a notion that I'm familiar with, but it's a notion that a lot of other people aren't familiar with, and it ties right into this idea that I had to create art to make Jeanett a figure in some of my tiles, not all of my tiles, but it was my idea, and I just told the story about how I got my tattoo in Trondheim, and when I came back, I found the injured hawk, and it was symbolic because Jeanett had called the police because her friends were giving her pressure. I don't know exactly why, but and I was supposed to stay away from Jeanett. Well, even though I hadn't seen her in 3 months, well, we were still interacting on social media. And for instance, it wasn't very long before my trip to Trondheim that I posted a pic. I was, every once in a while I would come back and carve a new tile of Jeanett, just so it was my way of letting her know I'm still thinking about you, because I had to when I was in Odda in the summer of 2018, I had to start creating the tiles of Odda. So every once in a while I would go back and revisit something related to Jeanett, because I wasn't going to let go of that idea to have part of my gallery, dedicated to her and fishing. Some people might think, well, all I needed to do was just have fish up on the wall. Well, why not make it more interesting and have a character, have Jeanett as a character, as part of a collection within all of my collections? I mean, that's a strong way to have a relationship as far as I'm concerned, to show an emotional, interest in someone. So, I mean, there's many ways I can do that. I can do that in many ways. The way she feels about things, the colors she wears. I mean, there's all kinds of ways of doing it. I particularly, because I've been single my whole life and I haven't had any, and I'm by myself, why not create a person there instead of why not create a character? Because I don't have anyone. I don't have one. So, maybe that was why I had my interest in creating a character. So it was right before I went to Trondheim that I carved this tile of Jeanett and one of her friends. So and then I posted it, and she sent me a message. Jeanett did, and she says, please don't carve my friends in the tiles. And it was things like that she would, and I know, of course, I wouldn't do that after she asked. Every time she asked me not to do something, I never would do it. So I knew that if Jeanett didn't like something I was doing, she would tell me. So just before I went to Trondheim, I carved this tile of her and her friend, and she told me not include her friends in the tiles, which told me once again that she didn't have a problem with me making the tiles I made with her in it. She didn't have a problem with that. So you see, once again, these are the examples of things that she would do where she was interacting with me, and it was secret. This wasn't something I was broadcasting. I never would share a message that she sent with me. I'm only telling the story now because of how it turned out, and how I had to leave because I accidentally stayed too long, and how it led to all these other things. How it led to the national news in Norway doing a story about the American who came and stalked Jeanett. They didn't include my name, of course, but they added the tattoo in it. So, I'm just telling this story now because I'm going to post a picture of the tiles that I made, that I brought with me in September or in March 2018. And, each night I would carve a new tile, a new design of one of these tiles.